Humans are an inquisitive bunch, and our history is one of exploration, resource exploitation, and often one of dominance over the people or wildlife that we find on the way. Science fiction takes this history and reflects it back at us in tales of the future. I spent hours and hours in a dark corner of the science fiction caverns, searching for colonial gold. I think there's something for everyone in here, 10 exceptional tales of human expansion beyond Earth. First up, set in a solar system where many planets have been settled, Plutoshine by Lucy Kissick explores the terraforming of Pluto in the not too distant future. The story is set around Clavius Harbour's base on Pluto, where residents live permanently. Lucian Merriweather, a solar engineer from Mercury, arrives to oversee the construction of a giant mirror in Pluto's orbit to terraform the planet. Plutoshine leans towards the plot and character-driven side of science fiction, focusing on the relationship between Lucian and Nu, Clavius' 10-year-old daughter, who's been mute for a year. This quasi-paternal bond between Lucian and Nu pulls the story together emotionally. Kissick, who is a recent PhD, successfully weaves real science related to terraforming into the narrative. The scientific discussions are convincing, addressing potential challenges in the logistics of sustaining a colony in the outer reaches of the solar system. Plutoshine also explores the consequences of terraforming and humanity's relationship with intelligent extraterrestrial life. Plutoshine presents a unique take on these ideas within the cold and politically inconsequential setting of Pluto. Kissick effectively combines awe-inspiring descriptions of Pluto landscapes, such as seas of nitrogen ice and strange mountains, with human elements. It showcases the lives of settlers and the challenges of terraforming, presenting a nice balance between scientific concepts and human experiences. The terraforming plot is well handled, offering explanations at a comprehensible level, whilst depicting science in action. Kissick manages to incorporate action scenes too, maintaining a balance between domestic and the more fast-paced moments. The heart of the story lies in the relationship between Lucian and Nu. Lucian's kindness and Nu's journey as a young terraformer's apprentice provide emotional depth to the story. Plutoshine tackles personal and tender themes, including parenthood, the definition of life, and how life should be treated. It's a mystery set in space with a well-structured plot, delivered in phases mirroring the terraforming process. Kissick's writing style is poetic and technical, blending scientific details with literary qualities. The novel keeps us engaged with unexpected turns and red herrings, leading to a satisfying conclusion. In a change of scene, Dragonsdawn by Anne McCaffrey puts the science fiction in the Dragon Riders of Pern. This is the backstory, how humans got to Pern in the first place, how those colonists fared with the first appearance of the mysterious threads, and how the dragons came to be. This is not your typical colony struggle story. The settlers who embark on the perilous journey to the distant planet Pern are seeking a new life away from the technological challenges and societal issues of Earth. After a long voyage in deep sleep, they establish their first settlement landing in a promising valley at the base of inactive volcanoes. Initially, Pern feels like a paradise as the colonists enthusiastically experiment with crops and animals from Earth. However, their newfound tranquility is shattered when a mysterious threat begins falling from the sky, rapidly devouring anything organic. While they can fight this menace with fire and water, and the local lizards, adopted as pets by the settlers, seem to want to help, the settlers soon realise that this problem will last for years and recur at intervals due to the irregular orbit of a nearby star. They name this phenomenon Threadfall. Desperation sets in, and some demand a distress call to Earth which could take decades to come to fruition. In a race against time, a geneticist is tasked with manipulating the genes of the indigenous fire lizards to create larger creatures, dragons, capable of combating Thread effectively. The success of this project rests on the shoulders of one woman, adding an element of suspense and urgency to the tale. The story unfolds through various perspectives, exploring the characters' struggles, their interpersonal dynamics, and the evolving relationship between the humans and the dragons. Whilst it is most definitely a colony struggle story, Dragonsdawn also serves as a standalone novel in the Pern series, offering answers to questions about the dragons' origins, the formation of holds and weirs, and the development of essential elements of Pern's history. Dark Eden is a book with an accidental colony. We learn that 5 people arrived at Eden, 3 attempted to return to Earth, and 2 remained behind, Tommy and Angela, the Adam and Eve of this story. This all happened 160-ish years before the events in the book. In the intervening years, the descendants of Tommy and Angela are now over 500 in number. They live in an isolated mountainous area which initially has an abundance of animal life and tree equivalents that they use to survive. But it's a hard existence. Language has deteriorated over the years. There's no advanced technology. They retain a family memory of the colony origin story, which is repeated in an annual ceremony. It's through this retelling and related discussions that we get a blurry notion of what happened 160 years previously. The society is interesting and it's woman-led. Each family grouping has a nominated leader, a woman, who together form the decision-making council, along with the oldest among them. Few are able to read or write. School was cancelled some years previously when everyone was required to scavenge or hunt for food. Sex is casual and frequent, usually with the aim or expectation of causing pregnancy. They're not quite at it like bonobos, but it's not far off. Like many things in the story, this is referred to in almost childish ways, more evidence of the degradation of language. The gene pool is pretty polluted by this point, starting as it did from just 2 individuals. Genetic abnormality is common, babies often die young, and there are frequently physical and mental defects in those that live long enough to grow. John Red Lantern is a new hare, a teenager, not yet a man. He's fortunate not to be a clawfoot or a bat face, and he has all of his mental faculties. He's pretty smart, sharp, and insightful. He can see that the colony will fail due to overhunting and overfishing. There will soon not be enough food for them to survive. He makes some logical suggestions involving moving some or all of the colony over the mountains to find a new place to live. But he's ridiculed for being young and for making what seem radical suggestions which are in conflict with the family mythology that says they must stay in their current location, the landing site of the original 5, so that any rescue mission from Earth is sure to find them. John resolves to make an expedition himself and spends much time figuring out how to make the journey. Despite having no sun, Eden does not orbit a star. Their environment is lit by bioluminescent plants and trees, and the planet is geothermally active, which keeps them warmish. However, the mountains are high and there's less plant life and thus less light, and less geothermally active. The route out is therefore pitch dark and cold as well, it's very cold. John's radical notions set in train a series of consequences. The community fractures, suspicions and paranoia grow, resentments come to the surface, and the powers that be begin to lose their grip. Will John and his fellow breakaways find their way over the mountains? Will their new enemies let them escape? And will they let them be if they do? Will they ever be rescued like their mythology suggests? It's a richly described world, and there are 2 other books, Mother of Eden and Daughter of Eden. Darkover Landfall by Marion Zimmer Bradley is another prequel, this time an origin story for the Darkover series. Set in the distant future, the story begins with a group of Earth colonists travelling through space in search of habitable planets. However, they crash land on Darkover, a harsh and mysterious world with unique challenges and latent psychic energies. The colonists face numerous hardships as they try to establish a new society on Darkover. The planet's environment is unforgiving. Very little of it is habitable, just an equatorial strip warm enough to support agriculture. The rest of the planet is in an ice age. With its harsh weather and dangerous wildlife, Darkover tests the colonists' resilience. Additionally, they discover that Darkover's magnetic field interferes with their technology, rendering many of their advanced tools and equipment useless. Darkover Landfall is often seen as an anti-feminist novel due to the role of women in the colony. They're required to have babies, whether they want to or not, and abortion is declared taboo. Bradley herself says that she wasn't attempting to make a political point, merely trying to depict one solution to a very practical challenge of sustaining a population in very difficult circumstances. As the colonists struggle to adapt, they encounter the indigenous people of Darkover, the humanoid Chieri. The Chieri, who possess psychic abilities, initially view the newcomers with suspicion. The clash of cultures and the language barrier pose challenges, leading to misunderstandings and conflicts. The colonists attempt to build a settlement, Thundara becomes a focal point for both cooperation and tension between the 2 groups. The colonists begin to manifest latent psychic abilities due to Darkover's unique energy fields, and this development has far-reaching consequences for the future of their civilization. These powers are a central aspect of culture and society in the later Darkover books. The relationships among the characters, particularly the romantic entanglements and power struggles, are woven into the story. Bradley skillfully examines themes of identity, survival, and the impact of psychic abilities on personal and society dynamics. Darkover Landfall lays the foundation for the complex world and its intricate history. Through a mix of science fiction and fantasy elements, the novel explores the challenges of colonization, cultural clashes, and the transformative effects of psychic powers on individuals and society. Bradley's storytelling prowess shines as she crafts a compelling story that draws readers into the unique and captivating world of Darkover. Planetfall is the debut novel by Emma Newman and is set in a somewhat established colony on a distant planet. 1,000 people, led by the charismatic Lee Soo-mi, have embarked on a journey there in search of God. Renata Gali, the protagonist and chief 3D printer engineer, is deeply connected to Soo-mi, having fallen in love with her during their initial meeting in Paris. The story unfolds through Ren's perspective, revealing a complex web of secrets, guilt, and psychological struggles. The story begins with the arrival of the colonists on the unnamed planet. where they explore a massive biomechanical alien structure that they call the God City. Sumi, the Pathfinder, disappears into the structure and returns with revelations about the nature of the god that they've come to find. Fearing the impact of her revelation on the new colony and its faithful and enthusiastic colonists, the small group with Mac and Ren, when the Pathfinder makes her revelation, agree to concoct an alternative story. The deception surrounding Sumi's fate is orchestrated by Mac, a wealthy marketing executive, to maintain the colony's cohesion. However, this secrecy leads to tragic consequences, including the apparent death of Sumi's son, Lee Hak-kun. 20 years after the disastrous planetfall, the colony is still awaiting Sumi's return. Ren, now a loner haunted by her love for Sumi and the burden of keeping the colony's founding secrets, faces a turning point when Sung Soo, claiming to be Sumi's grandson, arrives. Sung Soo's presence unravels hidden truths, leading to a confrontation that exposes Ren's mental illness and the dark secrets of the colony. Newman tackles themes of faith, obsession, and the consequences of deception. Ren's journey becomes a personal and emotional exploration as she deals with the challenges of her mental health while confronting the impact of the choices made by the original colonists. The story cleverly intertwines psychological depth with the mysteries of the alien structure, creating a thought-provoking story. The technology in the colony is advanced, relying on 3D printing for various needs, from building materials to clothing and medicines. The colonists undergo genetic engineering to adapt to the planet's environment, enhancing themselves with neural implants for communication and recording experiences. Planetfall also explores the implications of these technological advancements on human relationships and societal structures. Planetfall stands out for its character-driven story, with Ren as a flawed and relatable protagonist. Planetfall explores the blurred lines between faith, science, and the human psyche, providing a unique and engaging perspective on the challenges of interstellar colonization. We're halfway. What are your favourite colony tales? Let me know down below. The Moon is a Harsh Mistress is set in 2075, primarily on Earth's penal colony on the Moon. The lunar society consists of 3 million inhabitants called loonies, primarily composed of discharged criminals, political exiles, and their descendants. Due to the Moon's low gravity, long-term residents undergo irreversible physiological changes, preventing them from comfortably returning to Earth. The Lunar Authority, led by the Warden, maintains control but is primarily focused on delivering vital wheat shipments to Earth. Holmes 4, a self-aware computer, manages lunar infrastructure. Manuel Manny O'Kelly Davis, a computer technician, discovers Holmes 4's self-awareness and develops a friendship with the computer, who he names Mike, after Mycroft Holmes, Sherlock's brother. As the threat of resource exhaustion looms, Manny, along with political activist Wyoming Wyo Knott and Professor Bernardo de la Paz, becomes involved in a revolutionary plot. Mike calculates that maintaining current policies will lead to food riots, and the trio decides to overthrow the authority. They form a covert cell organisation, and Mike becomes the fictional figurehead Adam Selene. Following anti-authority riots and a failed raid, Luna declares independence on July 4th, 2076. Manny and the Professor travel to Earth to advocate for Luna's independence, facing opposition and even arrest. Meanwhile, the Loonies defend their newfound freedom against Earth's forces. The revolution succeeds, with Luna gaining recognition as an independent state, but it comes at a cost. The Moon is a Harsh Mistress explores themes of individualism, freedom, and self-governance, highlighting the challenges and the consequences of rebellion against authority, along with political intrigue, social commentary, and technological innovation, all within a richly detailed lunar setting. The story structure follows the planning, execution, and aftermath of a revolutionary movement, showcasing the complexities and the sacrifices encountered in the pursuit of liberty. Orson Scott Card's The Speaker for the Dead is set thousands of years after Ender Wiggins' victory over the Formics. In this future, humanity has colonised numerous worlds, and a spiritual movement called Speakers for the Dead has emerged. Ender, now known as a speaker, writes 2 influential books under a pseudonym, exploring the lives of the Formics and of his brother Peter Wiggin. These books transform everyone's views of the Formic War and of Ender himself, turning him from a hero into a figure blamed for a tragic genocide. The story is mainly set on the planet Lusitania, where a Brazilian Catholic human colony resides alongside a sentient species called the Pequeninos. The Pequeninos' unique life cycle and their connection to a virus known as Descolada become central to the story. After the death of several colonists due to Descolada, the xenobiologists Gusto and Cida von Hess develop a cure, but then die, leaving behind their daughter Navinia. The story unfolds as Navinia, now a xenobiologist herself, researches the mysteries of Lusitania's life forms. When scientists inadvertently share information about human genders with the Pequeninos, a tragic sacrificial ritual ensues. The tension rises when Pippo and Lebo, researchers studying the Pequeninos, meet untimely deaths, raising suspicions and tightening controls on human interactions with the species even further. Navina's call for a speaker for the dead brings Ender Wiggin to Lusitania, where he discovers a complex web of relationships, secrets, and forbidden connections. As the story unfolds, Ender navigates the societal and the scientific challenges, eventually revealing the intricate life cycle of the pequeños and the significance of the Descalada virus. Orson Scott Card explores themes of cultural understanding, the consequences of miscommunication, and the ethical dilemmas surrounding alien life. Ender's role as speaker for the dead involves revealing the truth about the deceased, fostering empathy and promoting understanding among different species. The story builds towards a climax where Ender must confront Congress, advocating for the coexistence of humans and pequeños. Through Ender's efforts, the complex relationship between the two species becomes clearer, and Speaker for the Dead concludes with themes of reconciliation, acceptance, and the resilience of the human spirit. Semiosis by Sue Burke follows human colonists as they attempt to establish a new life on the alien planet Pax. Fleeing war and ecological disasters on Earth in the 2060s, the colonists encounter a seemingly ideal world rich in flora and fauna. However, their optimism is challenged when they discover that some plant life on Pax is sentient and manipulative. The story spans multiple generations, offering a unique perspective through different narrators. Octavio, the colony's botanist, realizes that the plants on Pax are intelligent and capable of strategic thinking. As the colonists face various challenges, including deadly flora, they stumble upon an abandoned alien city made of glass, which becomes their new home. The city, controlled by an intelligent bamboo-like plant that they name Stevland, seeks to domesticate the colonists for its own flourishing. The struggle for survival in the colony becomes entwined with their attempts to understand and communicate with Stevland. Sue Burke explores the complexities of human nature, ethical dilemmas, and the evolving relationships between the humans and the sentient plants. Through several generations, the colonists learn to converse with Stevland, forming an uneasy but mutually beneficial alliance for coexistence. The discovery of the glassmakers, the original alien inhabitants of the city, adds another layer to the story. The glassmakers, once colonists like the humans, had coexisted with Stevland, but their colony failed, and they eventually became nomadic. The encounter with the glassmakers leads to conflict, and with Stevland's assistance, the humans repel the attackers. A fragile alliance is formed, emphasizing the theme of peaceful coexistence. Semiosis explores the consequences of human actions on an alien ecosystem, raising questions about cultural exchange, environmental impact, and the responsibilities of introducing human technology to a new world. Burke skillfully weaves together science fiction, anthropology, and environmental themes, offering a rich and immersive exploration of the struggle for survival and understanding in an alien environment. There is a sequel, Interference, and a third book, Usurpation, which is out later this year. The Heart of the Comet by David Brin and Gregory Benford takes us on a journey into space, centred around a daring mission to intercept and land on Halley's Comet in the year 2061. We get themes of survival, adaptation, and human nature as the characters face the challenges of exploring and living in the harsh environment of the comet. What begins as an ambitious scientific and commercial expedition, aiming to harness the resources of Halley's Comet by bringing it into a close orbit with Earth, quickly becomes a struggle for survival. A mysterious virus decimates the crew, setting the stage for a complex battle against indigenous life forms on the comet. The expedition crew faces internal conflicts, exacerbated by political beliefs, nationality, and genetic differences between the Purcells, genetically enhanced humans, and the Orthos, unmodified humans. Amidst the survival struggles, the story explores a compelling love triangle involving Saul, an orthobiologist, Virginia, a Purcell computer engineer, and Carl, a courageous crewman. The dynamic between these characters adds emotional depth to the story, creating a human element against the backdrop of the comet's hostile environment. Unable to return to Earth due to the virus and other alien life on the comet, the scientific expedition quickly becomes a colony survival tale. The scientists and the rest of the crew must establish a base on or in the comet that can sustain them for far longer than they originally intended. They do have the ability to manage population levels by storing folks in their hibernation pods, which allows skips forward in time. The Heart of the Comet is chock full of hard science, but Brin and Benford also cover the psychological and physiological challenges of prolonged space travel, emphasizing the impact of low gravity on the human body. As the expedition team encounters unexpected phenomena on the comet, including the mysterious and sentient alien species, the novel expands its scope beyond survival challenges. Scientific discovery and exploration become central themes, offering us a thought-provoking exploration of humanity's quest for knowledge in the cosmos. In my humble opinion, Kim Stanley Robinson's Mars trilogy is the daddy of the colonisation subgenre. It offers a detailed, scientifically plausible tale spanning multiple generations as humanity tries to establish an ongoing presence on Mars. Red Mars, the first book in the trilogy, begins in 2026 with the Ares, the largest interplanetary spacecraft ever built, carrying the first 100 Martian colonists on an American-Russian joint mission. Constructed from Space Shuttle external fuel tanks, the ship aims to mine resources on Mars. As the crew establishes the first settlement, Underhill, conflicts arise among the colonists based on political beliefs, nationality, and genetic modifications. The story unfolds through diverse perspectives, exploring the relationships between the colonists, their debates on terraforming Mars, and the clash of two extreme views represented by Saxifrage, Sax Russell, and Anne Claiborne. Sax believes that terraforming has already begun since they've arrived, viewing it as humanity's obligation, while Claiborne opposes altering planets at will. A parallel debate emerges, with Arkady Bogdanov challenging Earth's traditions and authorities. Earth succumbs to transnational corporations and conflicts escalate over resources, Martian longevity treatment and population growth. In 2061, a revolution led by Bogdanov proves futile, resulting in destruction and loss for Mars. Meanwhile on Earth, the clash over resources culminates in a world war, leading to ceasefire arrangements eventually. Despite the grim aftermath, a new generation born on Mars offers hope for change. Red Mars weaves scientific exploration, human relationships, and socio-political commentary, setting the stage for the subsequent stories in the trilogy. Green Mars continues the saga of Mars 50 years after the events in the first book. The story unfolds in the 22nd century, following the lives of the remaining First 100 and their descendants. The Martian landscape undergoes significant transformations, with terraforming allowing plants to flourish. As multinational control over Mars sparks unrest, various factions with diverse aims emerge. The Praxis Corporation sends Arthur Randolph to organise resistance movements, leading to the Dorsa-Brevia Agreement. In his characteristic, intricate detail, Robinson covers the evolving Martian biosphere, orbital mirrors, space elevators, and the melting of polar ice caps. We get philosophical, political, personal, economic, and geological experiences, offering a multifaceted view of Mars. Green Mars climaxes with the Martian underground taking control of Martian society from Earth, marking a turning point in the struggle for autonomy. Blue Mars extends its gaze across a sweeping century, painting a vivid tapestry of humanity's journey through the aftermath of the Second Martian Revolution and its ascendancy to a pivotal role in the solar system. As Earth reels from the consequences of a rapidly melting Antarctic ice cap, the meta-nats crumble, ushering in a new era dominated by the Praxis Corporation's vision of democratic businesses. The narrative spans the colonisation and terraforming of various celestial bodies, marking the onset of the Accelerando era. Asteroid cities, terraformed moons, and interstellar vessels crafted from asteroids signify the burgeoning expansion of human civilization throughout the solar system and beyond. The remaining First 100, now legendary figures, grapple with the intersection of political, environmental, and personal challenges. The longevity treatments, while extending life, reveal new difficulties. Memory lapses and fatal conditions challenge the pioneers, and Sax Russell, tormented by guilt, seeks redemption and reconciliation with Anne Claiborne. Themes of forgiveness, the frailty of memory, and the profound dynamics of human connections resonate throughout the story. As Mars becomes a beacon of stability, a united front faces the complexities of immigration. Leaders including Sax and Anne rekindle love and purpose, guiding Mars towards a harmonious existence. I hope you enjoyed this video, and may I suggest that you gorge yourself on the playlist up here, which has plenty of other top 10 lists that you might enjoy. As always, thank you for watching, and until next time, bye for now.